give me John 3:16. Go ahead.
John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life.
So, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth on him shall not perish but have everlasting life. So we have to believe in Yahushua and what he was talking about. So give me Isaiah 45:17, just to show you who that world is in John 3:16 that's being talked about, right? Because it's not everybody, it's not all these other nations. It's talking about the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. It's talking about the Israelites, right? Get that? Isaiah 45:17. He's looking up a verse.
Isaiah 45:17, but Israel shall be saved in the Lord with an everlasting salvation. Ye shall not be ashamed nor confounded, world without end.
So Israel is the world without end that's going to be saved, right? We're going to have everlasting salvation. So it makes it clear who that everlasting salvation, that everlasting life is for the nation of Israel, right? So read it again real quick.
Isaiah 45:17, but Israel shall be saved in the Lord with an everlasting salvation. Ye shall not be ashamed nor confounded, world without end.
So ye should not be ashamed nor confounded, world without end, the nation of Israel. So now, I wanted to bring this verse out a little bit earlier, but I forgot it. I put down the wrong book, right? Go ahead.
John chapter 14, verse 12. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that believeth on me, the works that I do shall he do also.
Right, so you're going to believe on Yahushua, and the works that you do is the works that he did also. So read it again.
John chapter 14, verse 12. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that believeth on me, the works that I do.
So he that believeth on him, the works that Yahushua does,
he shall do also.
So we should do that also, right? So we're supposed to be following as Christ walked, as Yahushua walked. We're supposed to be following the law, statutes, commandments. Finish it up.
That's right.
And greater works than these shall he do, because I go unto the Father.
Right? So the point of that is to show that we're supposed to be keeping the works that Yahushua kept. And Yahushua said that we're supposed to be doing the same things that he did, right? Give me Matthew 1:21. You give me Acts 2:21. And we're going to read the 22.
This is the book of Acts 2:21. And it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call on the name of the Lord shall be saved.
So whosoever, like in John 3:16, it said whosoever believeth on him, right? It's saying whosoever call on the name of the Lord is going to be saved. Go ahead.
Ye men of Israel, hear these words.
So ye men of Israel, hear these words. You blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, hear these words, that if you believe on who the world calls Christ, Yahushua, then you're going to be saved. But you have to keep the laws, statutes, commandments as well. Go ahead.
Matthew chapter 1, verse 21. And she shall bring forth a son, and thou shalt call his name Yahushua, for he shall save his people from their sins.
So he's going to save his people from their sins. So who is his people that he's going to be saving? The children of Israel. So let's get 2 and 6 in Matthew.
All right. Matthew chapter 2, verse 6. And thou, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, art not the least among the priests of Judah? For out of thee shall come forth a governor.
So out of thee is going to come forth a governor. Who's that talking about? It's talking about Yahushua, right? And if you look at the Greek word in John 3:16, what it's talking about is cosmos, and it means a government, right? So he's going to come as a governor. Go ahead.
For out of thee shall come a governor that shall rule my people Israel.
So he's going to be the governor that ruled his people Israel, the children of Israel, right? So give me that.
It's the book of John 4:22. Ye worship, ye know not what we know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews.
So we know what we worship. Salvation is of the Jews. Go ahead.
But the hour cometh, and now is when the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth.
So the true worshipers are going to worship the Father in spirit and in truth. So what's that spirit and the truth? Psalms 119 and 142, for thy righteousness and the everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth. Romans 7 and 14, for the law is spiritual, right? John 14 and 6, Yahweh Shai telling you that he's the truth, right? So we follow the Father, we worship the Father by those standards, by the law, statutes, commandments, and having faith in who the world calls Christ, right? Yahweh Shai. Go ahead.
Bring it up.
Galatians chapter 2, verse 19.
Bring it out.
For I, through the law, am dead to the law, that I might live unto Yahweh. Salaki. Galatians 2:18. For if I build again the things which I destroyed, I might make myself a transgressor. For I, through the law, am dead to the law, that I might live unto Yahweh.
So if I build again the things which I destroyed, what are the things that I destroyed? That old man, the body of sin, right? So if I build those things again, I make myself a transgressor. I make myself to be a transgressor of the law, statutes, commandments, right? So we're going to get even more clarification on that through another epistle of Paul in Romans.
This is the book of Romans 6, verse 1. What shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin, that grace may abound?
So what shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin just because we're under grace? Just because we have the Most High's grace and he's merciful?
God forbid.
So God forbid that we could commit sin, that we continue to transgress the law.
How shall we that are dead to sin live any longer therein?
So if we're dead to the law that I was talking about in Galatians 2 and 18, it's talking about being dead to sin, right? How should you live any longer therein, right? By continuing to commit sin, being under the dominion of sin, of transgressing the law.
Know ye not that so many of us as were baptized into Yahushua were baptized into his death? Therefore, we are buried with him by baptism into death, that like as Yahushua was raised up from the dead by the glory of the Father, even so we also shall walk in this newness of life.
So just as Christ raised up from the dead, we're going to live in newness of life just the same way. We bury that old man, we bury the body of sin, and we walk in newness of life, which is to keep the law, statutes, commandments. Right? You gotta keep going.
Romans 6, verse 5. For if we have been planted together in the likeness of his death, we shall be also in the likeness of his resurrection. Knowing this, that our old man is crucified with him, that the body of sin might be destroyed, that henceforth we should not serve sin.
So that old man, that body of sin, is destroyed, and we no longer serve sin. We no longer transgress the law.
Salaki, I just want to get starting to rain. Let's get all this paperwork.